Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know how we love getting into the weeds on these pivotal historical moments?
We really do.
We've looked at Kevin Wu's surprising life. Remember that one? The 5th Duke of Guadalajara.
Oh, yeah. Befriends the Sewer King. Quite the title, quite the life.
And we explored humanity's, well, frankly baffling first contact with SG-1.
Definitely baffling.
So today, we're tackling something huge. A fresh look at the Clampett War years, that whole chaotic period, through the lens of the brand new record of the Clampett War by Tyler the Chronicler.
Right, and Tyler the Chronicler, we've mentioned him before, he did that work on Kevin Wu's autobiography.
Exactly. So he's got form for detail.
Definitely. So when someone like him tackles something as, well, sprawling and important as the Clampett War, you pay attention. It's a key source for getting a handle on this critical time.
Totally. And just to remind everyone who's maybe newer, the Clampett War or Clampett Crisis,
Right.
It was this massive interdimensional mess, triggered, according to Tyler's record anyway, by experiments at CERN, basically tearing holes between realities.
Yeah, physics gone wild, essentially.
And that opened the floodgates, didn't it? Jaffa warriors, orcs, culminating in that bizarre Church of the Ozark Ascension thing.
It was a wild time, very unpredictable threats.
So Tyler's record is his attempt to give a sort of comprehensive account. The big battles, the main players who are navigating all this chaos. Our mission today really is to kind of dissect this document for you, pull out those key events, the important figures, and just try to make this incredibly complex history a bit clearer.
And it's worth remembering, this is Tyler's interpretation, his view, based on his research. It's one valuable perspective, maybe not the only one, but a really useful way to look at this extraordinary period.
Good point. Okay, so let's dive in. Major battles, according to the record. First up, Toledo, 2024.
Toledo, Spain. Yeah.
A city with, like, centuries of history. Suddenly it's on the front line of an interdimensional war. It's just hard to picture.
It really is. And what Tyler emphasizes is just how sudden it all was. The crisis had just, kicked off, rifts opening up, and boom, one of the first big incursions is Jaffa, loyal to Baal, hitting this major European historical city.
It immediately shows you, doesn't it, the kind of random, varied threats that were just popping up everywhere.
Exactly. No pattern initially.
And who steps up to lead the defense? None other than Kevin Wu.
The 5th Duke of Guadalajara himself.
Yeah. Guy from Befriends the Sewer King. It's quite the jump from writing memoirs to commanding troops against aliens.
It really makes you think, how Crisis brings out unexpected things in people. Maybe those other experiences prepared him somehow.
And maybe. The record definitely leans into that. Tyler notes how Wu, this guy known for personal stories, just took charge.
Right. He details how Wu had, 2,000 Spanish soldiers?
Yeah, against 5,500 Jaffa. Seriously outnumbered.
Hugely outnumbered.
But they held. Tyler describes Wu actually leading a sortie out the gates, like a cavalry charge almost.
Can you imagine the Duke himself leading the charge?
Against Jaffa warriors.
Tyler presents this as the turning point. That single act of, bravery, really. It rallied the defenders, broke the Jaffa attack. And the outcome, Tyler says, was they successfully repelled the attack. Directly because of Wu, Queen Leonor was apparently very grateful.
Sets a tone, doesn't it?
Nah.
Unexpected heroes popping up all over.
It really does. It's a recurring theme in this period.
Okay, moving chronologically through the record. Next is the First Battle of Washington, also 2024.
Right, and this one ends much darker.
Yeah. This time it's orcs, not Jaffa.
Yeah.
Led by someone called Curzon Icewolf. And they were aiming for Raleigh, North Carolina first.
That was the initial target, yeah. But the main fight develops around D.C., and this battle, Tyler says, showed a totally different kind of threat.
How so?
The orcs, he calls their weapons eldritch weapons. Some mix of dark magic, maybe otherworldly energy. Stuff that, doesn't follow our rules of physics.
Okay, so not just laser staffs like the Jaffa, something weirder.
Much weirder. And it put the American military, with their tanks and guns, at a huge disadvantage.
Tyler draws a real contrast there. Earth tech versus, magic, basically.
Yeah.
And the record says the Orcish weapons were just devastatingly effective, bypassed defenses, huge casualties.
It makes you think about military doctrine, doesn't it? How do you adapt when the enemy is playing by completely different rules?
You probably don't, initially.
Exactly. And the result, Tyler chronicles, was a crushing Orcish victory.
A sobering moment. It showed just how vulnerable conventional armies were.
And then the unthinkable happens. Washington, D.C. falls.
Falls and gets renamed. New bug tussle.
New bug tussle.
Yeah.
It sounds almost comical if it wasn't so terrifying. It became the capital for this. Church of the Ozark Ascension.
Yeah. Tyler mentions Jed Clampett heading that up. Some kind of Ozark-themed theocracy. The record isn't super detailed on the ideology there.
No, but it paints this picture of just utter strangeness taking over, the U.S. Capitol becoming that.
It really highlights the bizarre turns this whole crisis took.
Absolutely. Tyler captures that sense of surreal unpredictability really well.
Okay, next big one in the record. Battle of the Antarctic Necropolis. Still 2024.
Right. This sounds incredibly dangerous. Tyler flags it as, potentially critical for the whole crisis.
So what was the setup?
A joint operation, according to Tyler. What was left of Earth's forces plus SG-1. Good to see them involved.
Definitely. Their target.
Yeah.
An orc-controlled necropolis in Antarctica.
Yeah. Bleak. The record really stresses how vital this mission was, a chance to maybe stop the incursions at a key point.
And the orc leadership there. Also pretty strange. Granny Clampett, the Queen Mother.
She was apparently in charge initially. Then this Lich King figure emerges later.
It's like Ozark folklore meets, I don't know, high fantasy.
It's a weird mix. And Tyler includes this really unsettling detail about Granny.
Oh, yeah.
She apparently transferred her consciousness, her essence, into something called the Helm of Domination.
The Helm of Domination, okay.
And Tyler suggests this gave her immense control over the orc forces there.
So the goal for SG-1 and the others was to get to the Antarctic Stargate inside this fortress.
That was the objective, yeah, inside this heavily guarded necropolis.
And the battle was intense.
Tyler describes it as incredibly fierce, leading up to this huge moment with Teal. He confronts the Lich King and uses the Staff of Chaos to shatter the Helm of Domination.
Wow. That must have been decisive.
Hugely. Tyler wrote that the Lich King just disappeared, vanished. But the cost.
As small as because.
Teal was apparently lost in the process, seemed like a sacrifice, and the whole necropolis just collapsed, plummeted into the Antarctic ice.
Oh, man. That's rough. A major character from the SG-1 context gone. Really hits home how serious this was.
It's portrayed as this moment of, huge victory, but also profound loss.
Yeah.
And Tyler mentions the aftermath, too, lasting radioactive contamination in Antarctica, a grim consequence.
But not all loss, right? There was a positive outcome, too.
Yes. Amidst the chaos, Tyler records Daniel Jackson and Major Carter finding the Stargate.
The Antarctic Stargate.
And they managed to contact the Asgard.
The Asgard. Okay, that's big.
Huge. The Asgard intervened and disabled the interdimensional ring, the main source of the rifts.
So that should have been it then. War over.
You'd think so. Tyler presents it as a massive turning point, severed the main connection, drastically reduced the immediate threat. The war shifted then, more about cleanup and lingering problems.
The record then details a second battle of CERN in 2025, so it wasn't quite over.
No, apparently not. According to Tyler's account, Ball pops up again.
Ball. Always Ball.
He somehow manipulates the ring again, even after the Asgard intervention, kicks off a new wave.
And his tactic this time. Tyler describes it as even more horrifying.
Yeah. He materializes in Russia, somehow transforms a huge chunk of the population into a new Orcish horde.
Transforms people into orcs.
That's how Tyler puts it. An instant army under Ball's control marching on CERN.
Good grief. So CERN is under attack again. Who defends it this time?
A desperate defense, Tyler says. Remnants of the last alliance. And, crucially, SG-1, including Teal'c.
Teal'c is back. He wasn't lost.
Apparently not. The record highlights his return, bringing this message of hope. He declares something like, Ball can be defeated, there is still hope.
Wow. That must have been incredible for morale.
Absolutely. Tyler doesn't detail a clear victory in this specific CERN battle, not in this part of the record anyway, but Teal's return itself is presented as hugely significant.
A symbol of resilience.
Exactly. The fight's not over. It sets the stage for more conflict, but with renewed hope.
Okay, one more major battle listed in the record. Second Battle of Washington, also 2025.
Right. This one's about taking back the capital, reclaiming it from new bug tussle.
And the force doing the reclaiming is the Provo Legion. That's a new name for us.
Yeah. Tyler explains they emerged after the fall of D.C., a major military force specifically aiming to liberate the city, led by a figure named Layman Cottrell.
From Provo. Or connected to Desiree, maybe.
The record links Cottrell to Desiree, leading this legion.
And were they successful?
Tyler's record says yes. They attacked the Orcish garrison in New Bug Tussle.
The orc commander was Targath Bonejaw.
Targath Bonejaw, that's the name Tyler gives. The Provo Legion defeated his forces, retook the city.
And restored the name, Washington, D.C.
Restored the name. A huge symbolic victory, as Tyler chronicles it, turning the tide against the occupation, starting to rebuild.
So that covers the major battles Tyler focuses on. But he also spends a lot of time on the key people, the figures involved.
Right, not just the battles, but the individuals shaping them.
We've already talked a fair bit about Kevin Wu in Toledo, his unexpected heroism. Tyler really paints him as instrumental in that early win.
Yeah, his leadership there, as Tyler tells it, really cemented his legacy beyond just the Sewer King stuff, a key figure in those chaotic first days.
Then there's Curzon Icewolf, the orc leader in that first brutal Battle of Washington.
He embodies that initial Orcish threat, the shock of those eldritch weapons Tyler describes.
Definitely. And then the Antarctic figures, Granny Clampett, the Queen Mother, and the Lich King. Granny putting her mind in the helm of domination is just deeply creepy.
It really underscores the weird, mystical, dangerous side of this war, doesn't it? Tyler brings that out vividly.
And we absolutely have to highlight Teal'c
Absolutely.
shattering the helm in Antarctica, even though it seemed like he was lost. Then his dramatic return at CERN with that message of hope. Tyler positions him as totally central to the resistance.
He really does. His bravery, his commitment. Tyler chronicles him as a true hero of the whole era.
Then there's Layman Contral, the guy Tyler credits with leading the Provo Legion.
Taking back D.C. Yeah.
He seems key in that later phase, pushing back, reclaiming territory.
His victory in the Second Battle of Washington, as Tyler details it, shows how important those regional forces became in driving out the orcs.
And opposing him was Targath Bonejaw, the orc commander in New Bug Tussle. He's the face of the occupation force that Cottrell defeated.
Right, the specific enemy overcome in that key battle, according to Tyler.
The record also mentions others, maybe less directly in the fighting, but still crucial. Ernst von Anhalt-Dessau.
Yes, the commander of the 111th Battalion, Austro-Prussian nobility.
Tyler highlights his decision to move his battalion to CERN after Berlin fell, making them the main defenders there for a long time.
A really strategic move. Tyler notes his death, tragically, during that Second Battle of CERN, shows the sacrifices involved.
Definitely. His leadership at CERN seems pivotal in Tyler's account.
For sure, holding that crucial location.
Andy Beshear is also mentioned, the last U.S. president before the collapse.
Yeah, Tyler notes his presidency during the initial chaos and then his death during the fall of D.C.
A grim symbol of the old order falling apart.
Precisely. His death marks that shift, the end of the federal government as it was.
Then there's Glenroy Davis, leading the Colorado Legion.
Right. Tyler highlights his role in keeping Colorado stable.
And helping form the Western states later on. Shows how new powers rose regionally.
Yeah, Davis is an example of that local leadership stepping up when the center couldn't hold.
Dr. Alistair Finch, the CERN physicist, we know his own account, Finch's account.
Right, we've talked about that one before.
Tyler mentions Finch's work in the record, noting its value as a personal, ground-level perspective from inside CERN.
And Tyler's right to point that out. Finch gives us that crucial scientist's eye view of the unfolding chaos.
Farshad Gillis gets a mention too, the timber tycoon.
For financially backing the Western states' war effort.
Shows the role of private money, industry in the fight.
Exactly. It wasn't just military action. Financial support was vital, as Tyler records.
And Diggory Talbot, leader in Seattle during the crisis.
Yeah, protected Seattle, Tyler says. Then played a big part in forming the Western states, even became interim president.
Another example of local leadership rising to prominence.
Talbot's story, as Tyler tells it, really shows that pattern. Local figures shaping the new political map.
And finally, looming over everything in the record, Baal.
The constant antagonist.
Tyler portrays him manipulating events, using the Jaffa, then the orcs, showing up at CERN in Russia. The puppet master behind so much of it.
Yeah, Bilal is definitely the central villain in Tyler's narrative. The malevolent force driving a lot of the conflict and chaos.
So when you step back and look at all these battles, all these different figures, Tyler details in the record. Wow.
Yeah.
You really get a sense of the sheer scale, the complexity of the Clampett War. It wasn't just one thing, was it? It was this sprawling, interconnected conflict.
Absolutely, with huge lasting consequences, and shaped by this incredible range of people Soldiers, scientists, presidents, interdimensional bad guys.
Heroes and villains, expected and unexpected.
Exactly. And Tyler's record gives us a way to kind of structure our understanding of that chaos.
A framework.
Right. He pulls out what he sees as the key moments, the key individuals who really mattered, for better or worse. It gives real insight into the leadership, the different kinds of fighting, and what came after.
It does make you think, though, when you consider all these perspectives Tyler brings together, plus things like Finch's personal account. And you look at someone like Kevin Wu, the surprise military leader, or Ernst von Anhalt-Dessau, the dedicated defender, or even maybe Jed Clampett, seemingly manipulated. How does this record change how we think about, I don't know, heroism or responsibility, especially in a crisis that extreme?
That's a great question. How do we judge actions when the contest is so completely unprecedented?
Yeah, maybe digging even deeper into sources like Finch's account or trying to find any surviving news reports from back then. Maybe that could give us even more perspective on this really pivotal, really strange moment in history.
Always more to uncover, isn't there?